Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess from BehatiLife. Thank you so much for tuning in. I feel like I haven't been on here forever, but in reality it's been a week, but it still feels like such a long time. But in that time frame, so much has happened, which makes a lot of sense. But let's go ahead and dive into the purpose of this video, which is to talk about the full moon that is happening in the sign of Virgo. I'm very excited about this full moon. We did not have any full moons while we were in the month of February, which I found was very unique. When we were first entering into the month of February, it was all about this new energy because we had that new moon. And I don't know about you, but there was a lot of changes that happened within my life that kind of opened doors for me that I needed to walk through, that I wasn't even sure I was ready to walk through. But as the universe kind of works its way out, it kind of forces you when it knows that the timing is right. The best thing to do is to stay open and to stay flexible, which is something that you hear me say multiple times on this channel. So I also want to say, before I get started even more talking about this new moon or full moon, is a huge welcome to those that are brand new to subscribing to the channel. It is honestly an honor to have you guys join into the community that I've already created. Make sure that you hit the little bell button that is underneath this video so that you get notifications, exclusive notifications as soon as a video is posted. You'll see me talk a lot about astrology transits and other intuitive messages that come through, so I don't want you to miss out on that. All right, that being said, if you are old to the channel, you'll see that this apothecary space that I have now is going to be changing very, very soon. That's because on Monday I'll be moving into a new apothecary space and a new storefront for BehatiLife, which is insanely exciting. But again, this is all because of the energy that has been kicked up with the past new moon and also the intentions that I've been setting and working to manifest. But when timing is right, that's when everything falls together. And 9 times out of 10, for me, it happens very quickly. So I'm going to be running to keep up with all of the changes that are happening in my life for this next week. But say a goodbye to this old apothecary setting that I'm in now. It's been wonderful, it's been amazing, but we're moving on. And this new space is going to be amazing too, and in Philadelphia, and available for everyone to come in and to check it out. So that's going to be there for you too. The details of that will be on my website, but also my Instagram, and then I'm hoping to get a apothecary tour for you guys as soon as everything settles down and settles in. So woo! That being said, let's go ahead and for real this time dive into the full moon. Now, if you see me looking down, it's because I am pulling the chart from my phone. Currently, at the moment, my laptop decided last minute that it doesn't want to hold a charge. Really weird, really random. It is what it is though. So, of course, that doesn't deter me that doesn't stop me from making videos. I can pull a chart no matter where I am in the world, no matter what my circumstances are looking like. All I need is a phone or a laptop. The other thing that I like to do is keep the energy open so that I can work with my intuition and merge my intuition with the knowledge and the study of my charts and astrology. So you'll get a benefit of both of those pieces as we're working through this chart reading for this new moon, for this full moon. So it's so interesting because there's a lot of planets that are currently crowded in the sign of Pisces. I'm looking at the chart now and I see the Sun, I see Neptune, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron. Pisces is directly opposite of Virgo. Virgo is very grounded, very centered in a lot of ways when it's on its best version. And Pisces is kind of the polar opposite. That's why they sit opposite of each other, because the energy is opposite of each other. Pisces is very out of this world, very spacey, and all about intuition, all about spirituality, versus Virgo is more about facts and knowledge and organization and being grounded and very much here on earth. So as the moon is falling into the sign of Virgo, and that's when we have this full moon directly opposite and opposing the Sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Venus, there's certain energies that are being highlighted here that I really want to make sure that we're going to talk about. And Virgo across the board, because it's so grounded and ruled by Mercury, it needs organization. It works to kind of analyze information and find where things aren't working and tweak them. Virgo is the sign that rules perfection and purification. So if there's something that is not working, that does not serve you, that is not efficient, that is taking your time, taking your energy, your resources, this full moon is going to work to kind of move that and max it out of your life. You're going to start becoming more aware of what kind of drains your energy, what needs to be perfected, what needs to be purified. The other thing that I cannot ignore is the fact that energies are going to be super, super heightened, and people are going to be very, very sensitive. If you're already a highly sensitive person, i.e. like an empath or a clairvoyant, or just someone who's a very sensitive person, emotionally intuitive or highly spiritual, you're going to see that your energies and intuition and your vibes are going to be highly sensitive, highly sensitized, and increased. This is because, as I'm looking at the chart, the sun sits directly on top of Neptune. Neptune rules this like sensitivity, and the sun rules our life energy. When the two of them come together, we ourselves become so susceptible to the energy that's around us, and we pick up on vibes immediately, instantly. Pisces is a sign that is highly intuitive, very much kind of like spacey and idealistic, and works with imagination. And Virgo, on the flip side of that, is very grounded. But because Virgo is so grounded and perfectionist and connects immediately to purification, we become super sensitive to the energies that are in our environment. But the biggest thing that stands out to me is taking care of the physical body, making sure that your diet, your health, your lifestyle is healthy, and that you're taking in whole foods. You'll always see Virgo connected to grain and harvest. And that's because Virgo kind of looks at the details to prepare for and kind of takes inventory to prepare for when times get hard. Now, that's not to say that times ahead of us are going to get hard, but it is something that we want to be aware of to prepare ourselves for, let's say something does, bad does happen, or let's say we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves now, our relationships now, our home environment now, that way later on when stress builds up or things start to happen, that we're prepared and we have everything that we need in order to take care of ourselves and our obligations. So I know that this full moon is not the most exciting for people because they're not really looking at the gift that Virgo brings. So Virgo, like I said, is about perfection. And this, when I say perfection, I don't want my viewers, I don't want the people who read my blogs to say, okay, I need to be my best self all the time. I need to be perfect, whatever that means for you. Virgo doesn't say that, it doesn't have a requirement for perfection, but it does ask you to strive to become your highest and greatest self, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And the only way that you can do that is to kind of take chart and to take note of what isn't working. By this point, you are probably already seeing what isn't working. That's because the new moon and the eclipses have already started to highlight certain areas that are blowing themselves up or have blown themselves up in your life. So they've already kind of made themselves known. Now you come in and you kind of sweep those pieces and you put them into line, you put them into categories. You make it so that it's more efficient and it's serving you better. So that's something else that I'm seeing here too. The other thing that I can't ignore is the fact that the placement of Mercury. So Mercury rules Virgo naturally, and Mercury is falling in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is directly opposite of Virgo, and Mercury does not truly like to be in the sign of Pisces because Mercury is so quick, it's so fast, it's so analyzing, it wants speed, and it delivers messages like a bolt through the air, just kind of efficient and flying through. When Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, it kind of gets lost. if you think of Pisces, I'm sorry, when you think of Mercury, you want to, the image that I get is sometimes like this kind of bow and arrow that is brought back and shot forward. So it's a straight shot, because Mercury has a task. It has something that it is that it's working on, whether it be delivering information, giving news, something that is designed to move, for example, like cars, tools, resources, and that type of stuff. When Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, Pisces is so like elusive. It's so like hard to grasp sometimes. So Mercury is like, wait, what's going on? So mentally, a lot of us can find ourselves foggy. We can find ourselves feeling like we're losing our momentum, even though as this full moon is happening in the sign of such an efficient sign of Virgo, we still have to look at the full chart and see what's going on as Sun and Mercury and Venus and Neptune and Chiron are currently moving through the sign of Pisces. So Pisces, again, like I said before, connects to your intuition and your imagination, and is all about these like other realms, and all about healing and unconditional love and compassion. And Mercury is like, I don't understand, because I just want to deliver this message, a straight shot. So for a lot of people, if you are experiencing mental fogginess during this time, that's something that it is that, you know, you are being challenged, and that's something that I feel like is really important for us to mention. But speaking of being challenged, Mercury moving through the sign of Pisces challenges us to rely a little less on our analyzing minds and our logical minds, and moving more into relying on the intuition, our imagination, and our spirit, and where it is that we're being guided to intuitively. So instead of us having the answers in a straight shot all the time, sometimes we really do have to work with our intuition, our feeling, and kind of not cloud ourselves or mask ourselves, but go with our feelings more and rely more on that than facts and fact-based knowledge. Now for this full moon, again, there is this need to kind of compartmentalize things, to kind of put things in certain sections and organize them. And you can use this full moon in order to create structure for yourself, and to create organization for yourself as far as what it is that you want. But also use this full moon to work with what is already intuitively being given to you. What signals and symbols and messages is it that you're receiving? A lot of you guys, I'm starting to see that you are getting messages. You're reporting them on my YouTube. You're sending them to me in emails. You're having dreams. All of these things are totally Pisces ruled. So that's perfect. You're right on target. That's exactly what the energy is kind of looking like right now. But with this full moon, take those hunches and those intuitive messages and begin to create a structured plan and a structured way or route or routine in order to best honor your feelings and honor the vision and honor your imagination and honor your creativity. That's the beauty and blessing of Virgo. And sometimes we miss this because sometimes we look so far ahead. Sometimes what it is that we need is right here in front of us. It's the daily activity, the routines that we have that are in our day-to-day practice that make us strong long term, that help us to take those steps to achieve this ultimately great goal. So when it comes to relationships, this could be checks and balances. For some reason, a lot of what it is that I'm seeing when I'm looking at this chart is balance, and making sure that there is balance within your life and within your relationships. This is because Pisces energy can really blur the lines. We can become too much of service to others to the complete detriment of ourselves. And then on the flip side, some of us become so lost and so defeated and so vulnerable that we completely withdraw because we need that time. We're so sensitive, we're so vulnerable that we completely remove ourselves from serving others, and that we completely lose ourselves within ourselves and our imagination, or God forbid drugs or alcohol, because those are the things too that kind of, or like, you know, daydreaming like too much. Those are the things that Pisces rules that I can see within the chart, that are things that, you know, we should be aware of. So there needs to be balance. There needs to be equal imagination and intuition connected with groundedness, being centered and taking that vision and making it a reality, and turning it into something that you can work with that's tangible here now. And that's what this full moon brings to you. The other thing that I'm seeing too during this time is the fact that Jupiter is currently moving through and almost about to exit out of the sign of Scorpio. Jupiter is positively aspecting Venus. Venus is loving being through the sign, moving through the sign of Pisces. She's so romantic. She's at her best. She's swirling and twirling around, and Mars and all the other planets are looking at her like, how is she so stunning? So a lot of you guys are reporting back to me that when I started telling you, like, look, this day, on these days, you can really find your soulmate, you can find soul love, or be completely swept away in romance, and allow yourself to do that, you're reporting back that that is actually something that has happened, and that you met your soulmate during the time that I said that you would. So that's really cool. When it comes to finances, this is a great time to do checks and balances for your budget. This is because Venus and Jupiter rules abundance, Venus rules values and money, are in a really nice alignment to each other, and Virgo rules making sure that the paycheck and checks and the bank account are all balanced and secure, that you're not overly spending. The more that you take time to look at your budget now, the more that you can build up. So think about your savings, think about the future and the things that it is that you want to be able to save up for, to pay for later, because again, Venus moving through the sign of Pisces does want to treat herself. She does want beautiful things around her. So think about and visualize that lifestyle that it is that you truly really want for yourself if you aren't already living it. Jupiter gives blessings and abundance to you. Jupiter and Pluto are also, Pluto the planet of transformation, sitting in the sign of Capricorn, is completely destroying and removing old structures that no longer serve us in our government and in our personal lives. So we're seeing that complete complete transformation within the major bones of our lives. And Jupiter comes in and gives that extra blessings and abundance to that, so that's really good. Mars is the planet of action and ambition, currently moving through the sign of Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius wants to expand and to look outwards and to see what is out there in the world. How good can it get? And it wants to visualize the most idealistic, it wants to achieve the most idealistic vision. It wants to manifest those things and make moves on that. Mars squares off with Venus. Now, I always look at this as a positive thing. That's because Mars and Venus, when they come together, the fireworks are, we can't ignore them. It's that chemistry that's kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where you kind of smack it out and you can't resist each other, but there's also like this love-hate, but it kind of like crashes you back together again. And that's kind of the energy that's going on in the cosmos, is follow your passion and really dive into it. Mars is all about action and needs you to act. And when Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius, it says be bold, act upon your impulse, act upon your idealistic vision, and to not second guess that. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is a planet of abundance and expansion. It asks you to think big, to think large, to step outside of your normal comfort zones. And then Virgo kind of puts everything into place so that it's like, okay, here to here to here to here, step by step by step by step. Follow this path and you'll be able to get there. Create that path for yourself. At least create a plan so that you can see it and manifest itself. This full moon, I truly love it, and I'm not saying that because I myself am a Virgo. I'm saying it because it's like, it's needed. It's so needed right now. This is the time for a lot of us to get organized and to cement ourselves, which is interesting and a little difficult because the planets themselves are moving through, a lot of the personal planets are moving through the sign of Pisces, which is completely detached from reality a lot of the times. But we have this full moon that brings us right back down and grounds us. A method that it is that I'm seeing, a vision that I'm seeing, is a lot of people putting their feet in the soil and in the ground and grounding themselves and centering themselves by connecting with earth energy, so that you're not completely drifting off in the cosmos if you find yourself being highly sensitive. Now, back to that comment that I said earlier about being highly sensitive, really be mindful and aware of the foods that it is that you're eating during this time, any drugs that you're taking, alcohol, anything like that, even like artificial sugars. Artificial sugars are so bad for you. I've picked up on that message a long time ago. It's very toxic. You should not in any way, shape, or form be ingesting artificial sugars, but these are things that your body will become, that shows like, look, this is toxic, this is not good for you. During this time, during this full moon, those things will reveal themselves because the full moon is in the sign of Virgo, which is all about perfection and making sure that everything is whole and good and right and hearty. So if physically your body is not being taken care of, the last thing I want to see is a breakdown, especially a nervous breakdown. Virgo rules the nerves and anxiety, so for some people, if they are super sensitive, remember your feelings are very heightened during this time. You can trigger a panic attack. Go out, put your feet in the earth, ground yourself, center yourself, get some sunlight on your face. Try not to overwork yourself. Try not to overstep the boundaries, blur the boundaries, overdo it. These are things that Pisces energy can kind of do, as well as Virgo, okay? So I hope this makes sense to you guys. Let me know how you're feeling down in the comments below. Let me know how you're working this full moon for your own personal advantage. For me, I'm going to be setting up the new home, the new shop, the new apothecary, getting everything organized, and going right back to being of service to you guys, which also rules Virgo, being of service to others, and opening up my shop for more orders and custom oils and magic and intention and making spells and doing what it is that I do best. All right? So I love you, and we'll talk soon, and thank you again for tuning in. Bye.